a big black man with a deep voice killed my kids. And then they found out it was her. Then they found out it was her. Listen to that. She created a story. This is in the 80s. A couple of weeks later, this man shows up, Charles Stewart. I wasn't in the same town of Boston. A black man shot my wife in the stomach. They found out it was Charles who shot his wife in the stomach. The media had these raw dog police officers kicking in the doors of brothers throughout the city of Boston, and they terrorized us. This is what the media put forth. And then you got this week, you got Andy Cooper with this clown. Exactly. You got this clown, Christian Cooper. And I do call him a clown. The reason I call him a clown is Christian Cooper, if you don't know his name, it's the dude that Andy Cooper put the damn, she ended up damn near killing a dog trying to lie and pretend to be hysterical. And then she goes on TV and says, I'm sorry, I had no intention of being racist. Are you outside your damn mind? They never will change. Are you outside your mind? This lady did everything she could to get this brother killed. This dude, Tom Austin, did the exact same thing. When people from these racist communities threaten to call the police, what they're doing is threatening to kill you. There is no nice way to put it. I'm going to call the police on you. I'm going to tell them you're a black man and you're threatening me. What she was saying is, I'm going to go get my brothers and you know what they're going to do to your black ass. But he's stepping out, again, he's addicted to white nationalists. Because he stepped, after they interviewed him, I didn't want her to lose her job. What the hell you posting video for then, homie? See, you're scared to say she get what she deserved, but she has no problem telling you need to die. That lady with the barbecue out of Oakland, I want you niggas to die. Y'all don't have to agree with me, but the fact remains, this is what is going on in our country. This is what's going on. And if you don't want to identify this as problematic, I'm telling you, you will be in line for this. You will be in line for this bullshit. And then you'll be sitting around asking for help, wanting empathy, wanting us to galvanize around you, wanting us to circle around wagons around you and protect you. But sometimes, when people don't believe fat meat greasy, this is what happened to them, man. We can blame everybody. Oh, well, why we get mad when black people kill black people? Because black people ain't sworn to protect. Black people, it's not their job not to do that. And guess what? We do get mad. Get mad at the media for not putting those protests on TV. Why are we burning down our own neighborhood? Ain't no damn black people in the hood on no damn targets. Ain't no black people in the hood on no damn auto zones. That ain't our shit. They in there pimping us. This is what, hey, how about this? Then you want to blame the celebrities. They need to do this and they need to do that. Tell you what, since you got celebrities stepping up telling you not to vote, how about this? Since y'all not telling me not to, when y'all telling me not to vote, this is what I want you motherfuckers to do. If you are Ice Cube, or you a Puff Daddy, or you any of these motherfuckers that's telling you to hold your vote for hostage, this is what I want you to do. I want you to make sure each and every community after school program is funded for the next 2 years. Because you got a couple $100 million, or at least the ones in your community. Look, I usually had a point of view. You can't tell people what to do with their money. But since you telling me what to do with my damn vote, I'm gonna need you to run that money, homie. That's what I need you to do. Because it's easy to sit back in your ivory tower when Trump making these tax cuts and your ass is benefiting from it. Cube worth $160 million. Diddy worth $700 million. It ain't for 40 million brothers and sisters in this goddamn country. 50 million on a good day. Y'all can get together, and since y'all got so much advice and money, won't all you motherfuckers get together and go door to door in the hood and give everybody some money? Give everybody $100,000. It ain't gonna hurt you. Since you offering advice, since you the smartest motherfucker in the world, rock the vote. Remember Diddy? But now you want us to hold a vote. Stop showing up every 8 years. You worse than the damn politicians. Because you one of us. And you come from where we come from. And I'm sick of it, man. I'm sick of it. Celebrities, politicians, we got to create our own get down. We got to create our own get down because we know none of them have our backs. We know none of them have our backs. And I'm not going to just be negative today. I want to give big ups to the president of the University of Minnesota. She could be pandering, but you know what? She did the right thing. President of the University of Minnesota just told the city of Minnesota MPD, we don't need no more money. You know what? We not fucking with y'all no more. Since y'all getting down like this, see, that's just like Killer Mike said. And when apartheid was popping, Pepsi, we ain't drinking that shit no more. Coke, we ain't drinking. If you over there in South Africa making bread, you ain't gonna make no money over here. That's what time it is. That is what time it is. And it is a joke. It is a joke. It is a fucking joke. And you know what, man? What I want y'all to do is I'm going to hopefully deprogram you with some of this information I got. It's coming up right now. Give me a couple minutes and then I'll be right back.
What up, African world? It's your boy Home Team here. I'm back at it with another video of African history, culture, and worldview. And today we're going to talk about the Atlantic slave trade and the fallacy of blacks selling blacks. So I actually did this video a while back and I actually deleted it so that I can create a new one that was a little more in depth. And a lot of people have actually been asking me to, remake this video pretty much. And so here it is. So initially I thought I would never do a video on this because, I already thought that, people knew so much about the Atlantic slave trade. Boy, was I wrong. The historical perspective on this topic has literally been murdered and adulterated nearly in totality. Like, nobody has any idea what went down. And other people tend to take bits and pieces of information just to make a point and take it completely out of context. So of course when people talk about this topic, they tend to say, well, black people sold other black people, right? And so they leave feeling vindicated as if this statement is some sort of trump card. Okay, so the problem with this statement is that it's disingenuous to begin with. Here's why. You can't take a 20th century mindset and apply it to 16th and 17th century people. It simply doesn't work like that. There was no black power or Pan-Africanism back then. Like, black people didn't become black until they came to the New World. They shared a similar culture, they shared a similar experience, and they began to speak the same language. That's when they became black people. For example, in Western Africa alone, there are thousands of different ethnic groups who speak a different language, have different cultures, and have completely different worldviews and religions. So why in the world would they view each other as the same when they don't even speak the same language? I find it interesting that people are willing to accept the differences between Europeans and Asians, but when it comes to Africans, they all of a sudden want to paint one broad stroke and completely ignore the diversity. For example, when the Romans pretty much went into Northern Europe and were raping and pillaging the entire region, nobody ever then goes and looks at that history and says to themselves, wow, look at all these white people brutalizing other white people. The Romans even made slaves out of their Northern European counterparts, like the Germanic tribes, the people of Hispania, and the Celts themselves, aka other white people. Now, given that history, you'll never hear a soul say, wow, look at all these white people selling other white people into slavery. What a crime. Well, why don't you hear people say that? Well, because people understand and respect the historical differences and the historical perspectives and the diversity of that region and of those people. The Romans and the Greeks seem to have made it very clear that these pink-skinned northerners were not like us. Marcus Cicero, hailed by historians as one of Rome's greatest orators, had this to say about Northern Europeans, specifically from Britain. It has been ascertained too that there is not a scrap of silver in this island, nor any booty, except from slaves. But I don't fancy you will find any literary or musical talents among them. Or let's take for example Strabo, one of the Western world's most adored Greek philosophers. He makes his opinion of Northern Europeans pretty clear. In reference to the natives of Northern Europe, he has this to say, and I quote, "The home of men who are complete savages and lead a miserable existence because of the cold." And let's not forget the consistent barbarian narrative the Romans perpetuated about Northern Europeans. These mean-spirited quotes were a very common theme when it came to the opinion of Northern Europeans in general from their southern neighbors. And of course this was propaganda, but the point is that these Romans and Greeks clearly saw themselves as not only superior, but inherently different from the pink-skinned savages of the north. Thus, it justified Romans enslaving Northern European ethnic groups, aka white people selling and buying other white people. This, of course, from our 20th century mindset. But for some reason, when it comes to Western Africa, we all of a sudden develop amnesia and forget proper historical perspectives in favor of advancing the whole black on black crime narrative, if you will. How convenient. Well, why is this black on black crime narrative so convenient? Well, because nobody ever says white on white crime or Asian on Asian crime. It's a disingenuous, deflective argument to begin with. And it's very important that we understand that. You see, the truth is, all violence matters. So what is the underlying premise of this whole black people selling other black people idea? Well, people who use this adulterated logic are really trying to say, your people did this to themselves. We brought about this bad slavery thing. The problem, once again, is this 21st century or this 20th century blanket logic framework. That's the problem. The thing is, there was no we. It was always Fulani versus Mandinka, Songhai versus Maasai, Mbundu versus Bakongo. All these people saw themselves as inherently different, just as much as the Romans saw the Celts and the Germans as other. So now that we're scholars now and we truly understand that we can't take a 20th and 21st century logic and apply it to 16th and 17th century people, let's really try and understand what actually happened. So let's talk about the nature of slavery in West Africa itself. No matter your 21st century morality level, which was in all likelihood attained via historical hindsight, slavery is not just slavery. In other words, there were different kinds of slavery throughout the world, and slavery in West Africa was overwhelmingly in the context of what some may alternatively describe as domestic servitude, in which slaves would work primarily in the house of the master and retain some freedoms. Domestic slaves in many cases would even be considered part of their master's family. In some cases, even slaves had slaves themselves. The slaves could own the profits from their labor, whether in land or in products, and could marry and pass the land on to their children in many cases. To understand the nature of slavery in Africa, let's look at one of the longest lasting empires in West African history, the Mali Empire. So what was their decree on slavery? Well, the Mali Empire, like most empires around the world, participated in slavery. They even had a constitution called the Korakon Foga that regulated it. The Korakon Foga declares the following: "Do not ill-treat the slaves. We are the master of the slave, but not the bag he carries." So basically, this is a federal mandate of the Mali Empire, and further proof of the humane treatment of slaves in West Africa. Testament to this humane treatment within Mali is the fact that Mansa Sakura was actually a slave before he became king of the Mali Empire. That's pretty significant. So at bare minimum, this ideology of slavery was enforced throughout the empire from at least the 13th century all the way to the 17th century. So the